Try another way of going live during your broadcast. There's just a little note at the bottom here. Hello. Hello. We'll see who joins today. This is going to be kept up in the Facebook group anyways, and I don't normally pop in on the weekends, but here in Canada we've had Family Week. So I've been busy with my family, and Saturday felt like a time. You know what? I wonder if I should, oh, someone's here. Last time I did a Facebook Live, I couldn't see who joined, and then there were all of these comments at the end that I didn't see until after. So if you're here, definitely say hi. I'm going to click the little comments button because it is nice to be able to, if you have a comment, for me to be able to see. But yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to work. Hi. Oh, good. Patricia, you're here. Yeah, welcome. Okay, cool. So I'm seeing a little bit of something, which is nice. So welcome. So today I am talking about something that I'm super passionate about, which is helping women create wisdom-based wealth channels and really supporting them into the next leg of their evolution, of who they're being called to be. And I felt called to share my personal story. So I want to weave my personal story into some kind of like some PowerPoints for you and your journey. And then, of course, if you haven't heard, I have a brand new sacred program myself that I've opened the doors to, and it is called Sacred Program Creation. So I will let you know the early bird savings ends tonight. That's a $500 savings, and this program will never be offered at this investment level again after today. It's huge value. And you can go to sacredprogramcreation.com if at any point this speaks to you. And really my intention is to offer you some inspiration to maybe open up to a bigger vision of what's possible, and for you to leave with some mindset shifts or some tools or ways of being that may support you on your journey. So I typically speak to, so my name's Tara Preston for those of you who don't know me, and I typically work with healers, spiritual teachers, women who have been traveling their sacred path for a long, long time, studied, a myriad of modalities. They're really tapped into their own wisdom. And at the same time, they're being called into more of their evolution. So they know and sense there's a bigger, bolder, more powerful version of them that wants to come out and play. And that's very often tied into kind of like the next level of their body of work. And so I work in the realm of soul level transformation. I've been working in the realm of transformation for the last 20 years. And while it maybe doesn't seem like it applies, I actually started off my journey in my early 20s as a professional makeup artist. So even at that point, I was really holding smaller space, but still space for women to move through a transformation. And my whole thing was natural beauty. So it was a lot of times just stripping away everything that wasn't and really bringing forth the authentic essence of the woman. And when that happens, oftentimes just through that transformation, there's insecurities that come up, right? Because it's about being seen in more of who we are. So it's about strengthening the root system of the woman while really helping her to drop into more power in her ability to embrace who she just naturally is. So I've been working, I did that for 10 years and then stepped onto my sacred path, working right away almost with women at soul level through the Akashic Records. And that's been almost 11 years. Since then, I have birthed many, many sacred programs. It probably started about 4 or 5 years ago. And I've always loved the process of program creation because to me, as someone who's highly creative, who has, my past experience was all about stepping women into authentic expression. That's what sacred programs are. They are a way for us to tie in all of the beauty of who we are, our gifts, our message, our life experiences, our wisdom. We can draw on different modalities, and at the same time, we can bring through more of our authentic teachings, more of that higher wisdom. So sacred programs allow us to become more visibly expressed here in the physical world. And there's this beautiful alchemy and transformational process that happens as we weave together all these different aspects of us while stripping away the old and really stepping into more of our evolution, really becoming this woman who's space holding for the women that her program is meant for, right? But also going through this alchemy process of really becoming more of who she's being called to be. So on my journey and what I've seen, and I've been helping women create and birth programs for over 4 years now, and I've actually been doing this a lot behind the scenes, so it's not something that I've marketed a ton or I've really put a lot of focus on, because it just was a natural piece that started to show up about 4 years ago through my one of my kind of most loved sacred programs, which was a 9-month transformation, and it just kind of started to show up. And I love it because to me, as an artist and somebody who spent time in the beauty industry, it's just another way to really get visible with the power of all of who we are, and really tie it into relationship with our ability to command larger sums of money, right? So there was a point on my journey where I was doing single sessions. And that worked for a little while, but it really didn't create a lot of time freedom. And it really did lead to, it was kind of a constant dance of like burnout, this constant dance of burnout. And it was a really important part of my journey. And at the same time, I really had this call to step into more of my mastery, but I had a deep longing to journey more deeply with women, to really bring the fullness of what I knew I was capable of. And I had all these different tools and experiences and wisdom that just kind of poured through me. I really had a deep longing for more time freedom for my family. I stepped onto this path when I became a mother, so it was always really important for me to be able to design a life that really allowed me to show up in the space of who I wanted to be as a woman and as a mother. And that's the power that we have as creatrixes. We get to design and decide how to build our lives and how to build our businesses. And that's something that I've done in my own life, and that's also something that sacred program creation has allowed me to do. All of my sacred programs have provided me a foundation in my 6-figure business to generate money, to generate income that comes in with a lot more ease than it used to. But there's a lot more spaciousness in my life for self-care, for time with my family, for my art, for travel, so for studies, right? Because I know if you are a spiritual teacher, then it's always that balance between, being the student and being the teacher. And that also is what sacred program calls us into, right? Is the next level of who we're being called to be as a teacher. So that's just a little bit about my story, just about my path. There was one point about 3 years ago, and here's where I'm going to start to tie it into the 7K, 12K piece. It was all within the scope of about 4 to 5 months. And I was really at this point now, really wanting to experience more space in my life. And too for my clients. Like I really wanted to be able to bring a lot more energy and attention to deep transformation in a very present way, and for my family and for myself. And I was ready to really start to look at how money could serve and support me. And I had a desire. I was like, I know I'm here for more. I know I want to be more. I know I want to offer more transformation. I can see this version of myself. She's in the world. She's making great money, and it's happening like a lot easier than it is now. And I had a desire for change. And I had a desire as well to work with a certain mentor that was kind of really speaking my language at the time. And I didn't have the income at that time. Like it was really limited. I was really working through some money stuff and feeling really stretched, right? And that not enough, kind of just the last remnants of like poverty consciousness that I was working through. And I was feeling really stretched. And so I had a desire. And this is the beauty of, and this is why I really love, there's so many reasons why I love sacred program creation and helping women create these beautiful wisdom-based wealth channels, because it teaches us how to command money, that we aren't limited, and that especially as creatrixes, we really do have the power to create life on our terms and to command more and more money. Money can truly be a beautiful ally, a really powerful companion on our path. I'm just gonna have some water. And so there I was. I was like, I really want to come up with a certain amount of money. For me at that time, it was like 5K. I didn't know how it was gonna happen. I was really feeling called to like be this next level woman. And I was kind of like, it's not gonna happen. I don't know how I'm gonna come up with that. There's no way this is gonna happen. I'm gonna have to wait a long time. And in the meantime, I was getting a divine nudge. A divine nudge. And I'm sure that if you're here watching live or if you're watching the replay later, that you know the divine nudge. And the divine nudge was this idea for a program. But it to me at the time felt quite edgy. It was a real blend of my background in the beauty industry, along with the Akashic records and ritual, and just guiding women through this whole transformation of being in their beauty and being in their purpose. And for me, like the idea of space holding for like a deeper, longer journey that really wove in all of these elements, I was kind of like, how am I going to do that? Can I do that? Are people going to pay me to do that? And feeling really awkward even about like the idea, you know, once I kind of marinated in it, I was like, yeah, I mean, I can see, I get a sense that this program wants to come through. And the other piece too for me was like, can I charge this? Like, do I feel comfortable charging like this much money? And that actually was a piece that kind of limited me and held me back until I got really comfortable with my mastery, with that it was more than okay for me to really step in and command large amounts of money for my brilliance in the world. And there is an art with the one-to-one transformation, as there is with the group transformation, or maybe you're called to bring through a certification program, and that's something I've done on my path as well with the Akashic Women's School. We're 3 years running now, is create my very own next level certification program, and there's nothing like it. It's very unique to me. So back to my story. So I needed to come up with 5K. It was Christmas too. It was the end of the year. So I was like, you know, I had all these stories around why this wouldn't work and why I couldn't do it. But I sat with it and I decided that the money would be there for me. And I decided that I was going to take the leap because I really wanted this. And I sat with this nudge and this program, and actually, you know, I kind of went back and forth on it, but I created the space, first of all, and that's the important part when we're wanting to birth a creation into the world, is that it does need space, and that is sacred program creation is the container to give you that space to hold you as you create and dream into and birth the sacred offer that wants to come through you. So I created the space, and over about 4 days I worked like a mad woman to bring this program through. And I, as a creative and you know, as somebody with a lot of communication energy, and people who are drawn to my work do have a lot of communication energy and creative energy. So I went to work on this program, I downloaded it, I channeled it through, I got really clear on the price. It did stretch me a little bit, and at that time for a 6-month program, I think I charged $3K, which is like super like low now, but at the time it was a stretch for me. And then, you know, this whole time I had decided money was going to be there for me. I decided money was going to be there for me. I decided that my evolution mattered, that it had value, that I was being called into a new version of myself that my work mattered, that my calling mattered, and I decided the money was going to be there for me. And it was just one of those moments too where it's like I'd had enough. I was just ready for more. I was like, I didn't want to feel limited anymore. So I brought this program through, and then the next piece was like, who's going to buy it? How am I going to find these people? I had been online, I had an email list, and you know, there had been other programs too that in the past, years before, I had put together programs. And I wasn't quite at that place where I had understood how to marry the high value transformation with the client yet, and I had a lot of resistance around it previously. And that can happen because there are layers that we need to navigate as we up level in our visibility, as we up level in the value that we're offering and how much we want to charge, and the process of what it takes to ground a new creation in the physical, right? So sometimes if we don't fully understand that, we can pull back. And I had done that previously, but this time I wasn't going to do that. And it really was kind of like the key pieces that allowed me to have a really big breakthrough. These are all pieces that I walk you through in Sacred Program Creation. And I'll tell you some of the lessons of what had happened that month, because still to this day, those same principles and those same lessons, they apply, and they apply every time, and they built really strong beliefs around my sacred work, when it comes through, and how it fills. So I had taken this program, created it, and now it was this process of like marrying the program, right, with my community, with those women that this work was meant for. And two, I was speaking about beauty. So it was like at the time, beauty, purpose, Akashic records, transformation. But for me, part of my limiting belief was like, who's going to want to buy beauty? Like, who's going to want to buy that? Right? So I really had to root into the value of it too. I had to really find and dig into why my work mattered. And that's another piece that we dive into in Sacred Program Creation, is that a lot of times women will put work out into the world and they are waiting for the outside world to validate and value what it is they're offering. And it doesn't work that way. It's like we have to really root into it, and that's where our magnetism comes from. So I put together an email and I sent out this email to 6 women that I was just getting pings. Like it was just like, I just had this clarity about who to send it out to. And I sent it out to these 6 women, and right away I got an email back within the next day or two, and I'm thinking it's going to probably be a lot harder than this. But it wasn't, and 2 women replied back, and they were in. So, and actually it was 3.5K, so that was my 7K month. And you know, it's interesting too, that month, it was Christmas, and I had like a lot of scarcity stories playing out from, you know, being on this path for over 10 years, right? There had been some Christmases where things were a little bit lean. So I was working through scarcity issues. I hadn't had any sales that month except for these 2. But it was the month that I rewired all that scarcity programming and really rooted into who I was as a powerful creator and how money could serve and support me on my path, and how I could command it, and how I didn't have to be limited by my current experience. And that really was so powerful, and it really changed the way I began showing up in my business. I really began to change the way money was showing up for me in my business. And so that's the story of my first 7K. So there's a few lessons in there, and I hope that as I'm speaking, you're kind of seeing where there's an opportunity to root into certain ways of being to support your sacred evolution, and to support, you know, any ideas or any programs that you, or any sessions that you want to bring through. And one of the most important pieces that I realized about that month was that if I have a nudge, and I want to break this down a little bit too, and then a few months later, I kind of followed the exact same process, and I had my first 12K month, and that came from 2 sales. So And that was a time where I had created a year-long program. So I was like, now I was like feeling kind of hot on the trail of something. So I had a year-long program. So I had sold one of those 6-month programs and 1 year-long program. So I was really starting to find my groove with the potential of weaving all of my brilliance together in these transformational pathways. So it was like through this journey that really stepped me into that woman, right? The woman that I could see that was like offering high value transformations, that was being paid well, right, for her work in the world, that was starting to experience time freedom. But there was a transformation to move through. There was energy to untangle. There was a root system that I really needed to drop into, and some rewiring that needed to happen. Some new decisions and some new choices that needed to happen, and a little bit of courage, right? Because there were points where I didn't know who would really want this. Bringing through our programs, right? Our next level ideas and our programs is a really vulnerable thing for people and for women in general, because they're our babies, right? It's a highly creative process where we're bringing through a deep part of who we are into the world. So it can feel really vulnerable. And that too, through sacred program creation, that container really holds you. I understand what it means and what it feels like to be visible and to show up more boldly in the physical with these deep creations that we're being called to bring through into the physical world. But they are very needed. And if we have the nudge, right, if we're being called to bring through a program, a certification course, whatever it is, the people that need the program are out there. They're out there. And that was exactly, if you'd had a chance to listen to my personal story, it's like the women were all around me, right? The women were all around me. I had the divine nudge. Like I had a divine assignment to bring through this body of work, and the people that needed it were all around me. And it really gets to be that easy. And I know with program creation, a lot of times, and I see it online, I've never done anyone else's program creation course, but there's a lot of like how-tos. And oftentimes it can be quite complicated and quite structured. And I really don't feel that it has to be like that. I feel that it can be easy, especially when we're working from a place of alignment. Something else we really root into in sacred program creation as well. So if you have an idea, if you have a divine nudge, and that's the thing, it's like it's higher inspiration, it's divine nudge, it's like the creative energy of the goddess is saying, bring this through, right? There's a reason, there's a purpose that you get to be that vessel. And it's just are you willing to do the journey? Are you willing to bring through the creation, to take a stand for it, and to do the journey of becoming that woman who's space holding for this work in the world, right? And who's getting visible with this beautiful creation so she can really, marry the creation with the community that it's meant for, right? And then that's where the divine compensation flows from. That's where the divine compensation flows from. And to me, it's a very beautiful process where there's alchemy. It's a little bit of a dance between the masculine and the feminine because we're dealing with creation energy. But the few key principles that I always take with me when I am putting a new program out into the world is that, and it always starts with alignment for me, something that we start with in sacred program creation. So it's like, who am I being called to be? I tap into the essence and the energy of whatever is like wanting to come through. I check in to see if I have any desires, right? Any next level desires. So how can I use this transformation as an income stream for my next level desires? Because if we have a desire, right, the way to manifest the desire has already been made, and money needs a purpose. So the clearer we are on how to use our income streams to design our life, we can really start to step into our creative power and really start to command money through those income channels. But so we get into alignment. So that's the alignment. We get clear on those pieces, which we do in sacred program creation, which I know there's some people kind of joining midway through. I'll just kind of let you know that the special savings ends tonight at midnight at $500, and you can go to sacredprogramcreation.com. And this is the last and only time I'll be offering this really high value transformation at this investment level. So alignment, right? And then we move into flow. Money needs a purpose. Exactly. Money needs a purpose. Money really likes a purpose. Absolutely. So it's like the clearer we can be about where money needs to meet us and we own it, then we're dropping into energetic alignment. We drop into energetic alignment when we understand who we're being called to be as we step into more of our evolution with this sacred program. So we align to that. We align to the amount of money we're calling in. We align to how many women we're calling in. We get really aligned, right from the beginning. And then we move into flow. We bring through the program. We do our divine duty of bringing through the work that we're being called to bring through. And then we do the journey of getting visible, of showing up, of putting the offer out into the world. And then that's where it marries with the people that are meant for our offer. And so I was kind of recapping some of the principles, and I think I lost myself a little bit, but the big one is, if you are, and that this still to this day is something that I go by, if I have a program, if I have an inspired nudge, if there's some creation energy, creation that I'm ready to bring through, I know the people are out there. I know the people are out there. And to me, it's just a matter of staying in alignment, staying in flow, and making sure that people know that this is what I have to offer. And I'm always coming from that place of the world needs what I have to offer. So if you are on live, if you have any questions, you can let me know. I tend to teach a little bit in a circle, so I hope that kind of landed. But that's a little bit about my story. That's a little bit about, a very loose framework of what we're going to be diving into. When we move into more of our evolution, when we bring through these higher inspired divine creations into the physical world, it's like space in the physical world needs to be made, right? It's just kind of like having a baby. And there's energetically pieces that want to be reworked within us and untangled around us to create that space for ease, so that nothing gets stuck in the birthing process. And that again is what sacred program creation, it holds that space for you and it walks you into that beautiful outcome where you can again connect your program with the people that it's meant for and then receive that delicious divine compensation, right? Because this is divine work. This is us as spiritual women bringing through these higher calling offers. So who else is going to provide? Source. Source is our source. And money comes through people, through our beautiful income streams. Once you have created a wisdom-based wealth channel, and I kind of mentioned this at the beginning, for me now, it's like all of these transformations, these sacred programs have become the foundation for my flourishing feminine-based business. And I say feminine-based business because I do create and live from a place of a lot of spaciousness, but also I've created a life that aligns to my values, and that is the power of sacred program creation, is that we can use these beautiful income streams to start really powerfully designing our lives. I also really believe that women during this time, spiritual women, healers, sacred activists, artists, that this is our time. There's the potential for a huge redistribution of wealth on the planet, and the more women that we have with more resources, we can just make more impact on the planet. So this is an opportunity to really step into our mastery, right? To really start commanding our ability to create large sums of money through everything that we bring to the table, right? There's another reason why I love sacred programs as well, because it allows us to feel more fully expressed. So just like I was talking about how in the very beginning of my journey, it was about self-expression working in the beauty industry. It was always about how much more can I pull out of this woman in terms of her natural beauty, because there's power in feeling self-expressed. And a lot of women, they're ready for that next level of self-expression. And that's where we start to weave and create this alchemy of all of who you are. And we weave it into this expression of your soul's work in the world. And you get to feel more fully expressed. That's powerful. That is powerful. And that is how our essence works is that she just desires greater and greater expression here in the physical world. And this is one way, if you're called to really bring through transformational programs, that is definitely one way that happens. It offers us time freedom. So that's another reason that I love sacred program creation. It offers us a lot more time freedom. And at the very beginning, I was talking about, in the first few years, it was a lot of like single sessions, and I was always doing that balancing act of like having energy and burning out. So this allows us to step into the immense amount of value that we have accumulated thus this far on our path. And also too, I want to say that, your essence, like at a very deep level, just who you are, just being born into this experience has, limitless value. Just your presence. And that's a piece that I want to get into as well in sacred program creation, because it's the piece that really allows you to show up in a very visible and powerful way, and to know that just your presence impacts people, and that really is truly intrinsic to how we show up, and really taking up space with just that very simple but sometimes complex energetic understanding of how to root into and show up in that energy in the world. So, and this really too, it's about commanding, right? It's about commanding our reality, right? Really understanding how powerful we are as creators, as women, right? That we do have the capacity to dream our worlds into being, to create life on our terms. And oftentimes, and depending where you are in the scope of, what you're selling, if you maybe one-on-one transformations isn't new to you, but maybe it is. And, the more comfortable we can get really commanding larger sums of money, the more power we have to design our lives in alignment with the way that really works for us. And the more energy we have, the more spaciousness that we have, the more we can fill our cup, the more impact, again, we're creating in the world. And it's also very, very magnetic to money and to clients and to our desires. So I'll just leave you with that. And I know there's been some people popping in and out. Thanks for joining me. If you watch the replay and you have questions, definitely pop your questions below. You can go to sacredprogramcreation.com and feel into if this is a pathway for you. We have women already joining, and I'm already noticing a common theme. These are all definitely wisdom keepers, spiritual teachers, and they are feeling a call into more of their evolution. They're at a space in their journey where they're at a little bit of like a transition. And I often will work with women, right, at different points in their life cycle path, right? So where they're about to transition, there's a beautiful energy that you can harness that really allows you to step into more of that full circle evolution. And the early bird special, it ends tonight. It's $500 off. So $997, 8 weeks, 8 live modules, 2 mastermind calls with Akashic clearing work, and there's a few bonus Divine Feminine Leadership Akashic activation sessions left. And I'm sending you so much love. I'll talk to you soon.